We good, Matt? All right, welcome to the November edition of the Estacada Economic Development Commission, a team with great momentum and excited to host another monthly meeting on behalf of the City Council. John, would you mind giving us
Sure.
the roll call?
David Cross,
Here.
Jeff Gersh,
Here.
Eric Sale,
Here.
Cindy Moore,
Here.
Chair Carpenter's here, and let the record know that Scott Stahl is here. He'd probably just be joining late here. So you have a quorum, Chair Carpenter.
Okay, we have a quorum. Very good. Thank you. Now I need a motion, if everyone had the opportunity to look over them, approval of the last month's meeting minutes.
These weren't in the packet. They were just here today, right?
They're posted online. So every meeting, if you go online, they're posted online.
Okay.
So
One thing I would just ask when we talk, on the page 2, when we talk about the career day, including Souder Timber and Sales Company, I would just ask in the future, something like that, just put instead of my last name as referring to that, just put Northwest Technologies
Oh, yeah,
and
sorry.
keep it as
Yeah, good.
separate
note.
as what it is.
Good note.
Thank you.
And one thing that we've been thinking about is maybe they start calling it career tours,
Okay,
so
cool.
that might be a good branding opportunity.
Okay, thank you for that note. We still need to approve it. Still looking for a motion.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
A second, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye if you're online.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. Public comment. Mr. Lagarza, do we have anybody for public comment today?
Matt, I don't think we do. No one, Chair,
Okay.
for public comment.
Very good. Moving on to the next section, Ant Farm Bakery statue update by Neil Hatley.
Yes, thank you, Chair Carpenter. A couple of the commissioners have talked about Ant Farm, who is in Sandy and now in Estacada. They work with a lot of the youth programs to help kids get the opportunity to have jobs and career opportunities. We have Neil here. They have been working on bakery, so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of talk about where they're at with that project. And then also if we have any questions around, like Neil, maybe like what the, number of employment kids you have and some things around that, that'd be great there.
So
So
that's maybe
with that,
status instead of statue.
yeah, status.
Okay, I was wondering
Sorry.
what that statue was gonna look like.
It's gonna be a nice ant,
Yeah,
carved ant.
totally. Yep.
Thank you.
Dealing with water issues, guys, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, it's okay.
We got you noted here.
Yep.
Neil, all yours.
How's that? Better? Test.
Yes, received.
Okay, copy. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Zoom link so that I can share the PowerPoint with the folks online. But for those of you who have it in front of you, I'll
Get it up to share.
start bringing everyone up to speed a little bit on the background of this project in case there's anyone that hasn't been following it. So Ant Farm purchased the property known as Harmony Bakery in 2022. We purchased it with the intention of kind of just doing a deep clean and maybe a little bit of sprucing and reopening. And pretty quickly that became evident that that wasn't in the cards. The establishment didn't have ADA compliant restrooms. It didn't have, there's a long list of things that it needed to just bring it up to the standard of what we expect to offer our customers and the public. So we embarked on what we thought would be a larger, but not quite this in-depth of a remodel. We were really excited to be able to create an opportunity to teach youth about the trades, something that we've been doing in other locations in other capacities for a long time. And I myself, as a licensed contractor, and a couple of the other licensed contractors that we have working for us, we saw this as a neat opportunity. Somewhere along the way in 2022 to 2023, while the project was underway, the project that we were completely funding ourselves, Clackamas County had a notice of funding opportunity for resource centers, for, locations for the community to, for providers of resources to be able to hub in communities. We wrote a proposal for it and it was selected. We went before the city council here in Estacada. They gave us the approval to pursue that. What we didn't realize at the time, having no experience in the public contracting, publicly funded project realm, was that that was going to completely change the timeline for how that project gets completed. It meant we had to, once the county got involved, we have to follow the Oregon statute mandated procurement process. That meant going back to an architect, having the plans redesigned, creating a bid packet, submitting it to the public. And for, if you haven't got to this page on the presentation, we are just a few days out from the end of that procurement process. So we expect to we will be selecting a contractor this Thursday, the 21st. And so we had a ton of interest. 14 contractors attended the pre-bid meeting back on the 5th. And yeah, it's a really exciting time for us. We expect that once the contractor is underway, the expected timeline is for them to have the project mostly completed by May 15th. And the goal for completion is the 30th of May, with the hard and fast completion date per the county's funding opportunity being June 30th. So that doesn't mean that we will have it opened or a permit for occupancy at that point, but the project will be complete. So that's a kind of just a quick overview. I don't know if do you guys want me to try to get the PowerPoints up so that?
I'm pulling up.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to dive in to explain some of the background of some of the work that has been done, the intent behind the Ant Farm Cafe model, which we kind of covered a little bit here. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, that wasn't part of our meetings with the city council. That's actually a term that was coined right here in this room by Mayor Drinkwine. The idea is that what we have done for the city of Sandy is create a space that is open to the community, is a safe, comfortable space for members of the public to go. Also offers exceptional scratch-made food, some of the best coffee that you can get anywhere around, but especially in Sandy. And that was has become a fixture of that community. And so that was what the city council asked us to replicate here. The idea that the thing that made this so interesting to the folks at the county was that cafe model has been proven successful for resource providers in Sandy. So we actually have an embedded ODHS worker that is on site in the cafe every single day. And their engagement with the clients that they serve has gone up dramatically. You can imagine yourself in a situation where you need the support of whatever public agency, whether you're looking for food stamps or domestic violence support or whatever it may be. Folks can be intimidated going into one of these state offices. We're a small town, people see people talk. And so being able to offer those services under the context of a cafe and bakery provides a little bit of cover for someone. Maybe they're going in to seek services. Maybe they're just going in for a cup of coffee. It adds a layer of anonymity that we think is really valuable for the community and for the service providers. That's what we mean behind the cafe model. And that is exactly what we hope to offer here in Estacada as soon as we get the place open and running. A couple of benefits that have come out of this delay, I would say, are with additional resources from the county, what we're going to be able to do with the space is significantly more impressive. It's just not to say that myself and the youth that we work with wouldn't have done an excellent remodel, but I think that the aesthetics that the designer that we've been working with have brought in, it is going to be a step above, I think, what I ever expected it to be. So I know it's been a long time and everyone really misses the cinnamon rolls, but we will have them back in short order, and we're excited to to have it open for the whole community.
Cinnamon rolls are delicious.
Yeah.
They really are.
Well, and so I think I shared this with you, Jeff, when we chatted, but one of the things we're really excited to discuss too is a longtime employee of Harmony Bakery. His name's Henry, has been our cafe manager in Sandy for some time now. But he lives in Estacada and is just chomping at the bit to see that place back open. And so he will be at the helm of managing that location. So he's going to bring a lot of the classic recipes and a lot of the same flair that Harmony offered to the community, and just, you know, buy local for local. So.
Thank you. Is the primary finances that's finishing this project, is it still primarily grant funding?
Yes. Yeah.
That you guys have been very successful in getting? Are you the new Noonpa?
No.
Okay.
I would never claim to be the new Noopa. I'm the deputy director. So
Okay.
Kim Wheeler is our executive director.
Okay.
For anyone that doesn't know her, she's our longtime board president. Had been working as our director of youth and family services for some time before taking the promotion. But yeah, no, unfortunately that weight isn't on my shoulders just yet. So,
Okay.
but I can try to get answers for you if there are any that you're looking for.
No, nope. I just wanted, I hadn't met you before. And
Okay,
so
that's
yeah,
nice to meet you.
no,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment and a thank you for the investments and the time that you are taking and spending in the community, and just the internship connections
Yeah.
are just amazing. And I love the pictures so you can see, you know, we talked a lot about career paths and journeys and what that could mean to somebody, and the exposure that you're providing is really important. So
Well,
just
and-
to thank you for that.
You're so welcome, and I appreciate that. But I should say one of the things did make this a touch more complicated was our inclusion of workforce development positions in this contract. And not that it, you know, I think that the feedback that we've received from the contractors that are bidding, they're thrilled. They're so excited to see something like this happening. But it did add a layer of complexity that, you know, we had to figure out how to address with them, and they had to figure out how to include it in their bids. And so, yeah, it was a learning opportunity for us for sure. But what it means is now youth in Estacada are going to have access to positions with our selected contractor. And you can imagine that these are all contractors that are working at a statewide level or a multi-state level. So significant step up. It is a prevailing wage project. So the youth that are working in this project will be receiving a prevailing wage. That's going to be a real eye opener for any of the youth that get plugged into one of those positions. So just really exciting for us.
Thank you.
And it looks like David may have a question.
Well, thank you. Commissioner Cross?
Yes, this is very exciting. One of the things as a commission that we were looking at is how to better connect our school with career opportunities. And the industrial area in Estacada, we identified a couple of its core skills and core strengths were as an OEM manufacturing. And so we had a career day at the industrial location, a couple of hundred kids, and we're more easily able to connect education with career. And the thing that springs to mind here is the incredible opportunity for a bakery program where children could learn to become artisanal bakers. And I mean, you know, we all know about San Francisco and the famous sourdough. Well, we have a very similar, and although not maritime, climate here. And the opportunities, I think, for investigating a baking program that children could move on to is really good. There used to be a bakery in the industrial area. I think it was the Mennonite community had a bakery there. You've already proven that Ant Farm as a location works in terms of the cafe model, but I would encourage you to look into this, because I think that there would be really strong interest from the school, but it would also give us another arm to what we offer in Estacada economically. And it could be a center for baking. Like, I can see so many opportunities here, but I would say that this is a natural progression from this already excellent idea.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. In fact, that was really one of the intentions behind our cafe and bakery in Sandy. for a decade or more, we have had youth apprentices working alongside professionals with the baking technology or with the baking apprenticeship. It is a little trickier. Believe it or not, you have to be over 18 under OSHA regulations to work around, especially commercial baking equipment. But it is an exceptional place for a young person to learn customer service skills, just to learn the basics that a lot of us don't remember learning in our career journey. You know, how to be a self-starter, how to show up on time, you know, how to wear the right apparel. So those basic pre-employment training skills that we're always working with our youth on. So I appreciate you seeing that connection immediately.
Thank you.
Neil, thank you
Yeah.
for coming.
Of course.
Much appreciated. Do you have a sense of how many positions will be available for young people once the cafe is open?
That's a great question. So in Sandy right now, in the cafe alone, we have like 4 barista positions. We have 3 or 4 cook positions. And then in our other programs, so in especially our outdoor programs, our community work program, which is, you know, in its core, an apprenticeship program, an internship program. Gosh, we probably have 25 to 30 openings, especially that number really ramps up during the summertime too. So
Great. And will the cafe, will that change the hub facility that you guys are operating right now in town?
absolutely, yeah. So for anyone that's been in the youth hub, while the youth love it, it's a little crowded in there. You know, our office staff, they're going to have more space, just being able to spread our programs out across multiple locations rather than just concentrating them all into one. I think will, if anything, make the youth hub a little bit more approachable and enjoyable for the youth, because I've been there and had to ask them to be like, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I'm on a call right now. So yeah, I think it will improve the outcomes there, and also allow us to create important separations where we know they need to be. So
Great. And lastly, just following up on David's suggestion, which I think is outstanding. Do you see the possibility for, you know, nighttime cooking school at the cafe? Could we imagine Ant Farm baguettes at the supermarket? And, you know,
so there's a lot of things that we've been really severely constricted by space in Sandy for a long time. It's a huge building, but it's a small kitchen. This building kind of turns that paradigm a little bit, much larger space. So we are hoping to be able to scale our bread production a little bit. We would love to be able to support a line of, I don't know that we're ready for a grocery store necessarily, but maybe other restaurants in the area that would like to have a way to support us, could stock our bread, put their sandwiches on our bread, that sort of thing. So these are things that we're dreaming into in the future. But yeah, great question. We've done a lot of life skills classes in the past, so I could really see us, especially focusing on, you know, simple cooking classes, how to make yourself dinner, and kind of coupling that with how to budget, you know, class that we already offered through some of the banks that we partner with.
so lastly, do you see the possibility for partnerships with other community members? So if other folks wanted to come in and do cooking classes at night at the cafe, would that be a possibility?
Absolutely. So, do you have access to the PowerPoint? Because if you,
We got it up here.
the page that it's like a big table. It's kind of probably hard to read. Those are our current partnerships in Sandy. So these are external organizations that use our space for something. So we have everything from, today's Tuesday, so we had a prayer group in the morning. This afternoon, we actually have an NA group. I may have to get on that, but so we try to offer that space to anyone and everyone in the community that can benefit from it. For most of those community organizations, it's at no cost at all. Our ask is usually that if the individual or organization is receiving, you know, compensation in some way for their work, that they pay a pretty nominal fee. But yeah, we will be open to all partnerships and see this as a community space, and, you know, for anybody that can benefit from it.
That's great. Is there anything between now and June that we could do to be helpful?
I would say that the big things, well, are probably aware, as we are, that we've ruffled some feathers with this slowdown. We didn't mean to. We've been committed to this vision all the way through, but we took away a really well enjoyed and attended resource for the community of Estacada. And it seems like, you know, it seems like we haven't done a good job of keeping everyone up to date on the narrative and helping them understand why it's taking so long, helping them understand that like we haven't given up. We are still going to see this thing through to the end. So I think just more than anything, it's helping us get the narrative out. And if you encounter questions about like what's going on with the property, help folks know that we're working on it, and that we believe in our hearts that it will be better for the wait once we get to the end.
No doubt about it. All right, any other questions or comments?
One quick comment. I'm excited about this. I love a good cinnamon roll like anybody else does. And I like the symbiosis of it. I really do. We've been looking at this, you know, in terms of the industrial district as well, you know, and how we can look for entities that meld into the community and work together. We're seeing more and more of that, and it makes perfectly good sense to do this, you know, and just in terms of everything you do. Although on the apprenticeship side, I don't know the legal ins and outs of it, but how does the school district get around shop classes and stuff like that? You know, an idea that if you're teaching somebody or in a teaching environment, you know, I took metal shop and wood shop, and I used a lot of really dangerous equipment. And I was 14 years old. Of course, I came from a family that used these earlier. I was using them much earlier than that, but still, it would be the same thing under supervision.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
From my understanding, the Bureau of Labor and Industries see us in a way that is more akin to a business
Sure.
than you know than a school is.
Yeah.
But there's loads of possibilities for partnership if it's a class that the school is teaching. Then and they can use our space and our equipment, and I think that would be no problem at all. So I'm, you know, again.
Yeah, I get that.
check out the priority list.
Well, I understand. I'm just throwing that out there because it was just a thought I had in my mind about it, you know, and I'm going, you know, if that resource would be good. And there are a lot of ways. I came from the food industry, so I actually know that you could possibly get into almost every grocery store in this area if you wanted to do that. Because a lot of those larger corporations do support local groups, especially like yourself in a project like this. They might give you a little small space in a store, but that's all it really takes, you know.
I can answer a little bit. Two of the primary reasons for the OSHA law is one, liability, and two, job competition. And we're covered liability wise because we have controlled objects, even though people still lose fingers regularly
Sure.
through that process. But having kids come onto someone else's business and engage in someone else's equipment is the liability factor for the other companies and corporations. And then secondly, obviously, because we have a youth potential workforce, someone to come in, like say to Northwest Technologies, and it's a student intern who's either not getting paid or being paid minimally, could potentially take the role of a true worker.
Sure.
And so that's the intent behind the OSHA law when it comes to that 18 age range. But at the same time, there's lots of different companies that we do work with and partner with to support
Yeah.
that. But those are some of the legal barriers that we work through.
I know.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking in the terms of though, what if they were, you know, producing a product in a class and baking in school that actually fed the school?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that product went to the school.
Yep.
You know, and so the kids would be cooking the food that they actually consumed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting outlet there.
Yeah, and if any of you have questions, would like explore once we get a little further along in the final steps of the remodel, I would love to have you out, love to chat about future partnerships. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this here today, and hope you all are open to reaching out anytime you need something.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
for
you
your
for your
update
time.
and your positivity.
Yeah.
It's we're very excited for this partnership and this new entity in our community, which we know is very successful in Sandy. So that's great. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
great energy, very
Yeah.
good energy.
Okay, moving on, discussion on city asset map.
Yes, thank you, Chair Carpenter. We put this on the agenda. There was discussion last time from the I believe even the chair brought it up about, where would we put a Taco Bell or Dutch Bros?
Yeah, these are high
And
priorities.
other folks have brought up like,
Yeah.
and a good cinnamon roll spot, but
Yeah.
also just, there were some, should we look into the opportunity? I think even Scott, you said there might be a downtown asset map or not, but, there were some discussions. So anyway, I want to put it out there because, I think it's
I'm
an
ready.
important conversation of what we have, as far as businesses in our core in the downtown and in our industrial park there. So to have a map to be able to look at that. So
Where is that map?
that's what we're talking about, creating the map.
Oh,
Get
good
your
call.
input about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because right now, if anyone came in, like, where would we put a talk? Like available land in our downtown area, right? Number one, where would we put if it was a fast food amenity? We have a pretty good idea on the industrial park, but also understanding like who all the actors are, like being able to look at like an overall site map that would have our downtown core and then be able to think about, where do we have the food corridors at? What's happening in those areas from that standpoint there. So.
This feels like a pretty important subject for us,
Very.
especially I think back to the zoning conversation that we had. And I got the sense coming out of that conversation that maybe there was a need to reopen the zoning and have a fresh look at where commercial zones might expand. So if we had an asset map and then could have a conversation about how does this intersect with our current zoning and is it providing what we think we need, I think that would be a big step forward.
There's a certain malleability to zoning.
Sure.
What you see on the zoning map today doesn't mean that's going to be what it is tomorrow. And we need to get a better sense of how we construct the city so far as services and locations. And I think, for the industrial district, once we get the building process started again, once we start seeing the homes come in and those units that are a little more affordable, it will benefit that area greatly. But still, those people are going to demand, grocery stores and Taco Bell and a good cinnamon roll and whatever they want, they don't want to have to drive 16 miles one way to go get them, or 20 miles round trip, I think it is right now, something like that, And as we do that, we need to kind of lay the city out a little bit. We have to, be the satellite above the city, taking that picture and saying, okay, what's it looking like? What's it looking like? What's it looking like? It's the same thing with parks and stuff like that. I think a long time ago, I suggested to the city council that, you see where Wade Park is right now. You see that location there. I said, but this city is kind of like on a four-way map around here, big square, really is. And I said, you don't want all those people converging on one point to be in a park. You need to spread out those opportunities. You might have a soccer field, probably somewhere down Deuce Road somewhere, and then way up on the top of the hill up there, maybe a baseball park up that way, so you're spreading your citizens out a little bit, for that purpose. But, this bigger context, because in an urban growth boundary, when you look at it, it's just a snapshot of today, and when we fill up that urban growth boundary, and it won't be long before it will be.
It's already full and we're looking to expand it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll be making those applications to expand it. And then, what's the next iteration look like? And what's the next iteration after that? Well, that's beyond my time. I mean, this iteration will probably be before the next iteration shows up, the next expansion comes, I'll probably be long gone. But it's just the reality of life, But, we have to lay those landmarks now, how we're building, where we're concentrating our industry, where we're concentrating our services, and how we deliver those things. And that's why the
Yeah.
asset map is important.
Commissioner Moore and then Commissioner Cross, go ahead. Yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I'm wondering, John, if this, and to the rest of the commission, I'm wondering, we've discussed an opportunity to have like a joint work session with the planning commission. And I'm wondering if this topic might facilitate something like that.
Yes.
So that we could all, and this is just me spitballing, but we're maybe in this room or a different room with a huge map of the city, and we've got the ideas flowing and the zones flowing and what its current is and what it could be. And I know that that's going to take a strong facilitator to help us walk through that, but I'm wondering if that might be something of interest.
Yeah, I think, what I'm hearing is like, having a joint session with the planning commission and to look at some of these zoning uses, I think there's probably, if we did the asset map and we kind of looked at it internally here, I think then we could have some conversation. Why have some of these areas maybe not transacted or moved forward, right? And is this the right zoning to be able to kind of vet out with our team here first, right? So I think if we had the map, then we could talk about like, okay, is this the right zoning, or what is holding up this being able to move forward to this next phase of the life, right? I think if our team would understand that, and then we go to meet with the planning commission, then we could really talk through about, is there some areas that we would want to consider to rezone? There could be areas that need to be around commercial opportunities or industrial areas to be looking at like, okay, I look at the waterfront area, not the waterfront, but you're coming in Estacada, some of that has, they rezoned that, I think maybe 5 years ago, 10 years, 5 minutes. I don't know how,
I think it was
but maybe 5 to 7 years ago.
It was just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Just rezoned.
just but like that would be an area to kind of vet out to say like, okay, what's, you really don't want a lot of, storage vehicle lots coming into your town. You want to see industry, commercial that. So from that standpoint. So, and then for, where would you put some of these, restaurant providers that are going to come in the future, or what's going to happen to be thinking about in your downtown core there? So
For our purposes, I was really thinking of an asset map in terms of the sellability of the area.
I think that's a good step, because if you
Yeah.
have that for the saleability, like how we
Yeah.
talked with, to know who's here, what's there, but then also we have the retail study that shows we have a huge opportunity to capture more industry, in this area. So then I think it's a tool that could be used a couple different ways from that standpoint. So.
Commissioner Cross, and then I have a couple statements on this also.
I've been thinking a lot since our lunch with the students from the University of Oregon. And the one thing that came out there was the amount of things we haven't thought through. And when we're courting businesses to say, come here, we have minimal red tape, come and establish your business, the business would retort with, where can we establish it? And we're like, I don't know, we haven't thought of that yet. By doing this process, and I agree with Commissioner Moore's assessment, this would be a fantastic opportunity to collaborate the discussion. By thinking it through, we can court businesses and go to them and say, we've thought this through. We know what works. We know how our city can accommodate this. When you've created that like foundational stone, it becomes very easy to speak to businesses, to court them. Where will I go? You'll go here. These are the opportunities. It gets past that initial kind of come to us, but you got to think it through for yourself. And it will be easier for them to mentally start the process and to allocate capital, because as a city, we just don't want people. We've actually thought it through how it would work. So I think this is a fantastic undertaking.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And first of all, I want to commend you, John, for perceptively and proactively putting this on our agenda today. And I do want to acknowledge, because it did stem from the University of Oregon conversation, and I know that some of my statements raised some eyebrows, and my evidence of this is I think I got a phone call from every city councilor after that meeting, and a request from city staff to meet more to talk about this. And so I do just want to clarify, because I agree with what Councilor Moore or Commissioner Moore talked about. And the problem is really a root cause problem that is greater than just this. It's more of a vision and a mindset. And so while I agree the Planning Commission should be a part of this, this work is really more of a joint process that has city council, that has parks, that has city leadership staff, because this is the visionary approach. And the reason why this is a very complex problem that we as the now leaders of Estacada are, this problem has been forced on our lap. And at some point, we need to take a leadership role in tackling one of the most wicked challenges that we have in our community. And part of that is a mindset that we have to work through. The second part is zoning, and that's our first step, because zoning right now is the problem. Because if you look at any zoning that we have, it's primarily residential in terms of what that looks like. And our continuation of making new real estate or new geographic dirt always zoned for residential hinders our ability to be forward thinking and collecting the businesses that come into that. But I want to talk about mindset, and obviously I plan to have this conversation with city staff too, but it's important just to have for the record, there is a mindset difference in terms of what the old downtown represents. I can't tell you how many times I've heard different people tell me that we can do the Taco Bell, or we can do, the corporate type of businesses and chains as soon as somebody in downtown sells and some mythical person comes and buys it and then hypothetically bulldozes it and creates these space. We still are clung to a vision where the current downtown is going to be the space for these types of things. And we need to work through that mindset, because even in our U of O student discussion, we talked about the vision of a new commercial industrial place. And the following conversation was about installing lights to bring people back to downtown. Like, it went from statement to statement in reverse order of where we want people to go. And I think that we need to collectively work through the mindset of what old downtown represents and where the prioritization exists when it comes to a new downtown. And coding is the number one thing that plays a role in that, because at some point we need to lock out a space that says you cannot build homes here. This is for the future of whatever the grocery store or whatever that thing looks like. Now, I know that Steve Locke and company just purchased the old mill, and the intention of that property is to do the very things that we're talking about. The problem is going to be is even that property space is not big enough for the future growth commercial wise of what that looks like. And to stay politically correct, the city and different commissions have been unable to look beyond that until that whole property closed. And I'll just leave it at that, because I have my own opinions about how we even got to that space through the city council. And so we've been bottlenecked in our ability to even dream beyond the next few years until different things have come into place to really monopolize the ability to capture what that vision looks like. And so the essential question that I'm asking everybody as I engage with tons of different influential people here, and everyone rolls their eyes, so I really like saying this now: where is Costco going to go in Estacada? And people are like, oh, Costco, no way. But this is the very crux of our problem, is 30 years from now, there will be a Costco that is needed in Estacada. And so where are we at this point thinking about 30 years from now? And two examples that I have where Estacada has shot itself in the foot in the past is, for example, we're talking about the downtown property, the waterfront property right now. And we've recoded it, and we have these dreams of it becoming more of like the hub, including a walking path down there. But unless either the city annexes that entire thing and bulldozes every single home that's there, that's an unrealistic dream, vision, and opportunity. And this isn't the current city or current leadership's fault. Back in 1946, when they decided that that was a great place for homes to go, now we're paying the price for our most valuable real estate being coded and zoned as commercial. And another example, as Commissioner Stahl talks about, is park space. We're getting punished right now because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was no real park plan and or coding and or municipality regulations that says when a developer comes in here, they need to build a park that's bigger than just a swing set. And so the school district takes on the whole entire burden of all of these youth activities because of a lack of planning 20 or 30 years ago to where we're at today. And so my challenge to everybody that I meet with is we're being irresponsible if we're only talking about next year or 3 years from now. Like everything that we do needs to prepare ourselves for that Costco 30 years from now, or Safeway, who comes in with a Five Guys and different insurance companies and a little strip mall type asset that every other thriving community has. You look at Malala, they have an old downtown, and then at the end of the town, they have a Safeway, a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, Papa Murphy's, all the way above. You look at the old Sherwood and compare it to the new Sherwood. There's an example of someone who just put in a Costco, and not 20 years ago, they were the size of Estacada. You look at Happy Valley, they have an old downtown, and then they've got a Fred Meyer's on the corner. You look at Astoria, who I would consider to be a like-minded community. You know, they just put in a Costco 10 years ago in the Warrenton side of things. And so, you know, these are just multiple examples where it's our turn now to look farther ahead and plan for success in places where we got punished, where we're getting punished for now because our forefathers didn't necessarily look at that. So I apologize for my soapbox, but at the end of the day, like I'm telling you that this problem is much greater than what we're charged with to work with, but it is a problem, and we're required at this point to play a leadership role in solving that problem. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for putting that into words. I mean, these are things that are not new, but it's action that comes
Yes.
out of it. And I think one basic part of this that we've identified is the economic plan that we said, hey, this is bigger than 3 months to make an economic plan.
Yes.
Let's give some information so an RFP is prepared so we can start that process. Where is that?
We're working, well, the University of Oregon students are working on the task 1 of the strategic plan. We'll be bringing that back. That's the task that we came up with, the work task there. So we're breaking the tasks out to build out the strategic plan. So that is in process right now.
Yeah.
The other part, you know, and you've alluded to this, is they're not saying this is the answer, but there is a plan of some sort that exists with the mill property as far as what's going to go on there. I haven't seen that yet. Is that public?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be another part, you know, as we talk, just to fully aware of like, what are the current plans as we talk through this? And I need to find where I can get access to that.
Yeah.
I
too.
think you could see a pictorial description of what Steve Locke has in mind for the property. You just have to go over to his business over there. It sits in his
I
main
think
lobby.
they have it right.
Or is it
Probably
right
one
here?
of those poster boards over there.
I know he has a huge one sitting in his
Okay.
and then you just walk in there and there it is. And you're going,
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
It might be, we might be pushing it to call it a plan.
It's
I
a
don't know
dream.
that it's a plan so much as a vision, a desired
okay.
possible future.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your comments, Commissioner Carpenter. I think that having a vision of who and what we will be
Thank you, John.
decades from now
Yeah.
is entirely appropriate. So that starts to feel to me like sort of the question of a master plan
Yes.
for Estacada.
That's
And
correct.
I don't know the last time we updated the master plan, or if the master plan that we have now is anticipating the kind of vision that you're discussing. But that does seem like very important to this community. And separate from something like an asset map that we, you know, perhaps the asset map could be produced in relatively short order by planning staff who just look at, here's the zoning we have right now, here are available parcels, press the button, here's the map that highlights these are the currently available parcels for these particular uses.
Yes.
And that's really maybe a question for John is, or there's multiple questions here. What's the process for developing the asset map? Where are we with our master plan and any kind of a vision for creating a master plan that encompasses these ideas? Those are the two questions.
Well, first off, thank you. That was a great conversation. I love this commission. The cities, I would say your master plan, the way, because go back to Oregon's a land plan state, right? And there are not many other states besides us out there that are land planned. So the state forces the cities to do what's called a comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan really works off the economic opportunity analysis, your housing needs analysis, your housing production strategy. And that kind of talks about your big vision goals. So the comprehensive plan is a forward-thinking document to be talking about like where you're going far as a city, like, you know, as far as your housing needs, your commercial industrial needs, your outdoor recreation. It goes through all the goals in that statute requirement there. I think what we're talking about is a little layer below that, because once you go from your comprehensive plan, then you go to your development plan, which has your zoning and what you can put in your uses there, right? And I like the idea of like, you know, what is the master plan for, you know, thinking out there 10, 20 years of your downtown core, of your mill sites, of your industrial parks, right? And that's trying to be able to probably refine that a little further, just to be able to think about from an attraction standpoint, you know, does that zoning work if we're trying to recruit, you know, whatever type of,
Yes.
I like to call them actors out there. There's different actors in different areas of business, right? So does that fit within that area? So, you know, that could be a really a recruitment strategy to think about, like, you know, the mill site's going to need a lot of master planning and thinking how that's all going to be laid out and how those streets come down and connect there. But how you arrive into our town, what do you want to see when you're driving into Estacada? Like, you know, and how's that look? You know, and those are things I think that need to be thought of over the next 10 to 15, 20 years. So when you're arriving and how you're looking, you know, how we're attracting what type of industries in the mill site, how we're attracting into that. And that's below that's not in a comp plan, it's not in your development code, but I think that's where we can start here and say, hey, this is, you know, you got to be able to have the vision to sell the people to come to your community. And then you got to have alignment with the commission, the planning commission, the city council to see that we support this type of industry, and we have the housing and workforce and all that, right? So like, we need to be able to tell that story of whoever it is that we're going to go and try and bring here, whether it's a grocery store or an OEM or a Taco Bell, right?
No doubt, but we can't even have the conversation to court these types of people unless it's zoned in a way,
Yeah.
because we're zoning everything out of generosity as mixed commercial residential, but we sell to the first person to write us a check. And so the very problem we have is the coding allows the home developers to jump in and do their thing. And the other thing that is paramount in this conversation, and time is running out, is we can only annex the city limits so far
Yeah.
through urban growth and through other things. And the problem is as we talk about what a new downtown looks like, we're already running out of room of space of where that exists. And so, like, here's a great example. If you go up, what is that, River Mill Road, the property that used to be owned by the senior center is now being completely developed. Like, that is prime for someone to come in on the old highway, even from the industrial park, and there lives all of our corporate people looking to invest into that, but we've already given that to the commercial and resident, or to the residential in terms of that. And so if you want to protect old downtown, you've got to put new downtown somewhere in that proximity. And in all of these Fred Meyers, whatever, they need city water, they need city everything.
Yeah.
And so like our footprint is already limited in what we're allowed to be able to even offer in the first place. And it would be irresponsible of us to make a 30-year plan and assume that Eagle Creek is going to be the place that this is, hoping someday we'll be able to annex our way there, which we should, because we're racing Sandy to Eagle Creek right now. But at the same time, like, we need to find this spot, and we need to say, this is coded for commercial only, not mixed residential, and you can't touch it other than that, because then you and the city staff can go to these commercial developers and say, this is your spot right here if you want to do something. And we're just failing to do that at the moment because we're just trying to, I don't know what, but yeah, I'm not going to assume that. But anyways, obviously you can see I'm passionate about this, but darn it, we're missing opportunities. And I see this as a great charge for us to take the bull by the horns. Commissioner Cross?
I congratulate you for irking the councillors over the last 2 weeks and now really going in for the kill. I think
I'm not afraid.
Well, no, but it's great. You know, the first ever Economic Development Council meeting I attended, I really got inside a couple of noses by saying that the way we were looking at it, where we had to approve a budget for the following year, I know that needed doing, but like, we need to be thinking in terms of 25 and 30 years, as you've just said. You know, there are businesses in Japan that are like 935 years because someone had the vision centuries ago to think long term and say, this is where we want to be. And, you know, we have lots of space in Estacada. It's, as you said, it's the mindset, it's the lack of mental space to accommodate this vision. And that is what we need. You know, Einstein said that the consciousness that developed the problem will not be the consciousness that solves it. You have to have that new way of looking at things. And as I say to my kids, if you knew that you couldn't fail, what would you dream? What would you do? And that's what we need to be doing in terms of Estacada. What would Estacada be in 30, 50, 100 years' time after we've all gone? What do we want Estacada to be? Because every plan we've made in the past is a very short-term thinking kind of plan. Oh, we can allow this to happen here, or we can allow this to happen here. But I completely agree that we need to zone it, put our mark on it and say, you can't come here unless you are this kind of business, and we're going to do it in this area. And then again, we set our base foundational stone to say, this is what we envisage for our city, and this is what we want. So thank you for expressing it, Ryan. Brilliant.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll get more phone calls, I'm sure, because of it, which I welcome. And we're a team, and we should share partnership in that. But
yes,
also the first step with this joint commission is we have to have a productive and professional fight about the mindset of what Old Downtown is. And my mindset is Old Downtown should be niche, unincorporated, and should be our mom and pop and local things just as they are today. And we need to create a corporate location for people to go that is more of the national chain type stuff. But the mindset that opposes against that is there's a blank piece of real estate in between US Bank and the post office. And I keep hearing from that particular mindset, well, someday US Bank will move and someone can buy the US Bank building and the vacant building and bulldoze it all. And while I appreciate the sentimentality around trying to preserve old downtown, I think there's a way to make it a win-win situation that preserves Old Downtown and its niche approach while also welcoming the corporate chains to support that. But we can't talk corporate stuff until we have a place for them to land, and that doesn't exist.
Right. There's also dangerous talk around how to plan and how to be able to carry that out. So if we talk about a certain place, it seems that people will go and buy something in that place in order to benefit from it in the future.
Yes.
Or just to hold it.
Yes.
To keep it from happening. So
that's true.
Even when we have these conversations, and if we identify an area, then somebody goes and acts on it, which either drives up the price or prevents that development.
Good point.
Or we have some areas that aren't being developed. And somebody approaches and say, well, in the industrial park, they say, well, how about we put an RV park
right
in here? And it's like, what? Now we have more crime, we have more people on the road, we have kids riding bikes, we have them complaining about semi trucks in the neighborhoods. Like, wait, this was an industrial park. We
Yes.
come back and we say, well, doesn't have places for a truck to turn around. And now we don't have that and we have kids on bikes.
Yep.
And so it's just, we have to like, you have to design it
Yes.
and then you have to enforce it. If that's the code, that's the code. And so, and maybe there's a place for a way for the city to buy property. So maybe the city buys property and holds it for future development in order to have an opportunity to actually make sure that development happens.
Yes.
So, because right now, when we're having these conversations, there's obvious pieces of land that affect this, especially if you're looking for like a grand park that might be by the water.
Right.
So then somebody's going to run down there and say, what are the parcels down there and how can I lock them up
Yep.
in order to get involved with this? Because that's like
Maximum
people
value.
looking for their option to score. And it also drives the price up and it keeps it from ever happening.
I 100% agree. And we know that this community has a history of people doing that very thing just to box out competition or to box out. Yeah.
And depending on who they are, they can really come and get approval for those weird things.
Yeah.
That are like, that make it happen for some money today.
Right.
But cause a problem in the future, because all of a sudden you had a plan, but then there was something allowed in the last 5 years that plopped right in the middle of that plan that now it's only 5 years old and now it messes it all up and you sort of have to like replant.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that.
We have to use the word untamed in the city of Estacada. We have to stop taming ourselves. We've got to unrestrict it.
Yeah. Any other comments on the matter? Again, deeply appreciate you putting this on the conversation. It's the fourth rail of who we are as a community, and it's a very hot topic. And I think if I were to speak on behalf of this commission, we are all in to have
Yes.
this conversation and lead it and be a part of the leadership of it. Yeah.
So following up from Eric's comment, I mean, I think there is opportunity in an asset map and also danger. The very reasons that
Well, yeah,
Eric.
I
set
look at
out.
it more like this, Jeff. You know, there's opportunity and danger, but there's opportunity and danger in any capitalistic system.
For sure.
There's risk.
And there's risks with everything. The thing we want to do is look beyond the danger for a while because we have to. Right now, you know, when he talks about Costco, every old time Estacadan has a heart attack
Oh, yeah.
because it's just what it is here, you know. And I understand that, you know, they want Estacada to be Sleepy Little, whatever it was, you know. And I said, well, in 5 or 10 years, will you be here?
Yeah.
Likely they're old. They're getting to be like me, you know, they're getting to be like me. Will you be around in 10 years? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows, you know? The old Estacada will probably never exist in any real form that they've ever notioned in 5 years, 10 years, in 20 years, definitely not, you know?
Yeah.
And so we just have to look beyond that. I mean, I've always been in my whole career, never afraid of fear. I don't mind telling people what I think about things. It's not a problem for me. And I'm not afraid of anything he said. Everything I said, I agree with. I've thought everything he's just said. I told the mayor myself that all those houses down there, we have to kind of look to bend for the script on this one, you know? Take them out, make that one huge park. I'm telling you, it's a huge draw.
Yeah.
I mean, people would it would be an amazing asset to the city. But, you know, again, you know, so, oh, it's going to be really expensive. Yeah. Yeah. You get people out of there. It's gonna
And fought in the court of law.
Oh, yeah,
for
it's going to
20
be all of
years.
that.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
just the response to that statement being on tape here.
Oh,
Now it's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, like, so it's how to think
Hey.
and talk.
Yeah.
Thinking
Get all
that
riled
and
up.
doing that are two different
Yes,
things. so-
For sure. And by
Yeah.
the way, we have no intention of bulldozing all those homes. We're
No.
just using that as an
A
example
metaphor. yeah.
of poor planning from many, many, many decades ago, and what that looks like. So thank you for public consumption. That's not our intention.
Sure.
In addition to that, the thing that is a important response about, you know, some of the old time Estacada folks and the people who
Sure.
are born and raised here and from here and help shape who we are as a community. Our intention is not to change that either. In
No.
fact, this is where I think it's proactive of us to play a leadership role so that we can infuse the culture of Estacada into those future plans so that it's represented. But at some point, so many people are going to move here, which is out of everybody's control, that we will lose control of what that looks like. And that's the same thing I say when trying to pass a school bond to our community too. At some point, there's going to be so many new families in here that they're not going to care about what old Estacada was. They're going to want it for the way that they see it as today. And so if you want to play a leadership role in preserving what Estacada is today, then now is the time to play that leadership role, to capture who we are and try to protect that as we build out the future. But at some point, the time will be out and we will lose all control of what Estacada is. And if we don't play that leadership role today, that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, I appreciate your eloquence. I wish I had that.
So John, could you tell us how an asset map could be produced right now? Because I have a hunch that if we had an asset map in front of us, that might be a real instigator for new, fresh, creative thinking. Because we might look at it and say like, sorry, where are the assets on this map? So what would it take, John, to?
Well, I appreciate all the feedback here. And what I probably would like to do is let me meet with city staff and then let me get back to Chair Carpenter. I mean, I kind of see there's like 3 steps, but one would be to get in an asset map, completed so we could sit in this room and look at it, maybe put it up on the screen. And then the second step, what I would see is what we see some cities do is go in and do kind of a code audit on these areas.
Yes, that's
So what I'm hearing you is kind of looking at what the development code is in those areas. And then from that code audit, it would be the commission could then make, here's some areas that we would recommend propose changing on the zoning. And we could bring that forward back to city council from that step. So, but I need to talk to city staff here on that, but that's kind of the 3 steps I would see. It will take us a little bit of time to go through that, but it could be for 2026, the first half of it be like to really think about, we were talking about, did I put down there for the, we were talking about a little bit of a retreat, but that could be maybe the first step is like maybe after the first of the year, having the asset map, right? And then having the zoning overlay on it. And, take a half a day to go in and just kind of really talk through that from that standpoint there, right?
even the annex plan should be.
Yeah,
coupled
even
with
the
that.
areas that were where the,
Correct.
even the mill site plan, what's going on. So really understanding that, because I know at the same time, the city's going to be has been doing on the urban renewal plan, doing community engagement and outreach. So the timing's perfect to be looking at all this, right? And I do believe like having, recommending what those proposed vision and zoning changes it would be for the next 10 to 20 years. It goes back to telling your story, when someone comes in, if they call Cindy Moore and they're looking for a site, she knows exactly like, hey, you know what, they get all different types of calls we're going to get, right?
Yeah.
So, but it aligns your city to work back to your point of the mindset
Yes.
that, if you're going to build it where you're going to go, you got to be thinking about how you're going to get there, right? We can't stay here in the same set, but we might hit it 80-90% of the time, but that's what we're trying to do, is be able to tell that story. So does that work for everyone?
I think that satisfies. I mean, it's an admission that this is a 12-month or a 24-month process.
To get there.
And it's going to take time to do it right and to get people aligned and to get everybody on board.
Yeah.
But we have to start now because 24 months from now, again, more change is going to happen. And we're already behind in this type of visionary work. And so you just have my strongest urgence to, just keep the ball moving is really where it's at, but it requires more people than just us, for sure.
I have just a short comment, John, well, everyone, if I owned a piece of land and someone came to me and said, I want to buy that to build some houses, I have no, if it was me, obviously I have a different perspective, but I don't have any allegiance to $1 over another, and so I would sell the land I own. But one thing I'm really interested in is how much does our city council have? How much does our city have available to buy land and lock it in from a zoning perspective, so that if someone comes along and says, I'm Holt Homes and I'll give you X for that, we know that we could move in there and say, no, that we're going to buy it as a city, we're going to zone it because our future in 50 years' time is important. I have no idea how long that piece of string is, how much the city council actually owns.
No, that's a great question. And I don't think that this pressure or burden should also be on the city, because they have limited resources as well. And
Yes.
this is where zoning really comes into play, because if Commissioner Cross has an old farmstead house and they want to sell that house to a developer, the coding prevents that from happening.
Mhm.
But, Commissioner Sale could buy that house and the house is grandfathered in, but nobody can sell it unless it's for the purpose of. And so I think we could accomplish this without the city purchasing it, but at the same time, it's there. In conclusion, I just want to say that I am not angry. I think everyone is doing a great job. I praise city staff and everyone else for this work in there. I just think every day that goes by that we're not having this conversation is a wasted day in terms of building the vision for what we want to be someday. And I want to be on a team that is in control of what we want to be, and not have that taken out of our hands.
I echo the chair's position.
Okay, moving on. Sorry, that was like a 45-minute tirade.
Passion is
Yeah.
appreciated. You did not come across as angry.
Okay, good.
To me, at least.
Small business appreciation,
I
oh no,
skipped actually.
tour and discussion, Estacada High School CTE.
So I wanted to, one of the things we've been working to do is build we've been talking a lot on the industrial campus. We've been talking, and we've had Ant Farm here talking about some of their work programs, but wanted to put out there, I think it would be great to maybe even think about having our next meeting up there at the high school and then taking a tour through the CTE program. I think one of the challenges back to vision here for the city is like, how do we, build a strong CTE program? I think there's some opportunities to really think about that. But I think if you haven't been through it, I think it'd be great to get a tour and just understand where we're at. And back to your alignment of vision, where, the school's an important factor, right? And how do we create that vision, and who are those partners that really needs to be involved in that conversation, I think is important as you go forward. I mean, I think you should just cut off that side of the building, new partners, and think about how we do that, right? But I think wanted to talk about that and see if we could, I haven't talked to you, Chair Carpenter, and maybe we talked about it, but like having the meeting there and then see how the commission feels about coming out to the school. And I don't know if that worked for you.
Yeah, everyone's welcome.
I love that.
I would just like to remind, we planned that once before to have the meeting at my place, and then we were told that it can't be offsite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we could do it. Well, maybe we could do it here and then go up afterwards.
But then the city had their own
Yeah.
council meeting at the park. So I'm not sure.
Oh, it's considered official meeting,
Yeah.
so it has to be
We
recorded.
could call it official meeting if we advertise it
Or
ahead of
don't
time.
call it that.
Yeah. call
Yeah,
it
we
work-
could
Just
workshop.
skip that meeting.
We
and
could,
we'll
we
have a
could
meeting.
make it a workshop if we want to do it a workshop or
Okay.
something like that. Let's do that. Cause I think it'd be a good, healthy conversation our next meeting, just to go through there and we'll call a workshop for
Well, see what you can do.
Workshop
We don't want to
potluck.
break the rules, but at the same time, I'm more than welcome to bring down Erin Gardenhire, who's leading the full revamp, overhaul of our CTE programs. And if it's to the council's best interest to have her come down and give an update, I'm welcome to do that. But
maybe it's a
Let's see
workshop.
it.
or-
Let's go see it.
I think
I
it would
that
be
really
best to
valuable.
come
Let's
see
do
it.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Quick question, if I may, and maybe this speaks to the offsite meeting, but is there an issue with it being a public meeting? Is that why? And I'm just bringing
Yeah,
that up because if we
public
go to the
meeting.
high school.
We can notify it as a workshop that all the commissioners will be there as a workshop, but we're not having any official business.
Yeah,
So
we're
it'll
not
just
voting
be
on
like
anything.
informational,
Yeah.
and we could invite anyone else that wants to come.
For sure.
So from that standpoint.
As long
So
as they can pass a background check.
I just
Yeah.
didn't want the
Yeah.
general public to
Uh-oh.
show up at the high school
Yeah,
if that
totally.
was
Yeah.
not
Yeah. no,
appropriate. So, okay,
Very good.
thanks.
Okay, excellent. Small business appreciation event.
Yeah, so we put this on the agenda. We've been talking about it a little bit. Just wanted to get a kind of a date, like not a firm date, maybe a month placeholder. You know, we've talking about having a small business appreciation in the downtown area here to help kind of bring in some, small business programs, some different type of grants available just to really for, last year we kind of did our first one, but this year the commission said, trying to do it at Christmas wasn't really good timing. So this year we're thinking like, how could we do it in the downtown area here? And
Old downtown.
yeah, so how does, January is going to be here before we know it. Is it February, March? Is what's in the old downtown area? Where we have Taco Bell cater.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Red back.
Open to everyone this, well, while we make jokes, this is important and we
It is.
want to recognize the people who are, trying to run an enterprise here. Have we done anything in the past? Like because we're all pretty new.
No, that
Is there a-
this would be
is there a
that first
tradition?
time. And, a lot of the small businesses might need like, how can we provide them information on doing a website, accounting, different like, more of those small type businesses in this area, how do we provide, those outreach? That was kind of been the thought process, for this area to kind of touch the small businesses down here in the downtown area. It could be, it'll be citywide divided, but.
Yeah, great.
Apologies for not knowing this off the top of my head, but thank you. Is the Estacada Chamber of Commerce active right now?
It's funny you said that.
They're, yes, they're in the, want to say they're out where the, preschool is, I believe out there. I think that was space out there a little bit there.
Okay,
So.
I'm-
so that's just,
they do. Okay. I'm just wondering if that might be a potential partner to help promote the small business appreciation event.
we'll
In the
vet
downtown?
that out with the staff and yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
While that's on topic, actually, it's awesome. We're like-minded, but I wrote it down. At some point, it wouldn't be bad to have whoever is the chair, or president of the Chamber of Commerce to come and give us an
Mhm.
update at a future event, because it used to be a little more prevalent than it is now. But I haven't heard or seen from the Chamber of
Yeah.
Commerce in a pretty long time now at this point, a couple of years, maybe,
We can have them.
just an update.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an update. Great. Okay, so, I mean, is it the charge of the Economic Development Commission to plan and execute this in
Well,
January?
we talked about
February?
doing, we did the industrial tour, we did the career day
Yeah.
tours. And we talked about having some type of, small business appreciation
Yeah.
event after last year. So, staff's just asking to get your input,
Okay.
thoughts.
Okay.
Month, I think that's just
Hmm.
if it's something different. you
Yeah.
know,
Well, the reason why I ask is because this is November, and if we do December at the school district, we have like right now to determine what that is, if it's January or
So January's
February.
probably out then, so I would say like
Okay.
if the earliest would be,
Okay,
it takes a couple of months, so we'd probably be figuring out how we'd set it up and what you all feel, what are the business community you think would help really support them in this area?
let me yield to business folks on this. I don't.
I would suggest calling it, instead of small, I would just call it a business connector. So we're not identifying
Yeah.
plus or minus or who's who. And then I would just view it as a place to connect, get insight, meet other business leaders. And it could even be a lunch in the middle of the day at the old mill or something in an area that just brings people in to get
Yeah.
ideas, meet each other's best practices,
Wheat
and
Creek.
you get a face-to-face. It's not really an event so much.
Like
Yeah.
Wade Creek's facility.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Commissioner Sale, because maybe, maybe it's like something in March, you just have a business connector luncheon and maybe try to do those, food for thought back to the vision would be just, here's some resources, connections, but also what the EDC is working on, sharing their vision about some of these things you're talking about, right?
Sure.
Opportunity
That'll
to
be
outreach.
That'll be an interesting audience too.
It'll be an
because if we
interesting
talk
audience,
about
but-
corporate vision, that's.
Which we got to cast our net out of the whole city,
Amen.
right?
Yeah,
So
no,
I mean,
I'll leave it if you want me.
everyone's got to participate as, here's where we'd like to go,
Yeah.
right? And hear their voices too. So I mean, it would be a
100%.
chance to just say, here's what the EDC's working on.
Yep.
You know, we're really working on this asset map, vision plan, strategic plan here. Just to update the community, right? And then is there any thoughts or, you know, suggestions around that? Just
We
for
could
just
also-
awareness, you know.
We could also put together a little survey
Mhm.
that we'd ask folks to
Collect
fill
the
out for
data.
us.
Yeah.
Either, and it could be before the event that
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that happens in these, and it's just easily shifts to this, to where events and different things are get together and we'll tell you something, or come here and we'll tell you something, or we'll hear from this group or this group. It's like, no, the whole point of this was to hear from you, to connect you, to drive this. And so while that's a hard thing to develop that conversation and get that camaraderie to happen, it's easier to say, hey, we're going to have this, and then we're going to present this stuff and have this presented and this option presented.
Yeah.
That's like, they're not going to come for that. They're
It's
going to
top
come
down.
from connections.
More like. a
May I
round-
suggest that Ant Farm brings in some cinnamon rolls for this, because that would be
Yeah.
great publicity. And, you know, having a coffee and a cinnamon roll is much more conducive to having a conversation, which is what this is, rather than a sit-down meal.
Yeah, agreed with that. There definitely needs to be food in some capacity. I was gonna say, because I think that's a really wise thought, and that is, you know, I'm a part of a lot of like legislative roundtables and that kind of stuff where they, you know, put different people in different spots, and we bring up like hot topic issues coming from the economic development group, and then give them the time to talk about it. Is that kind of what you're talking about? And so, you know, let's talk about, I don't know, a new downtown, for example. What are the barriers to that piece of it? And I'm making this up as I go, but then the local business owners, you know, get the opportunity to converse about that together. You know, somebody reports out at that table kind of what the conversation was, and we have the ability to collect, you know, kind of their voice around that. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Maybe, but I think I just envision having a non-formal place where people will come and they'll connect. They'll
Yeah.
interact with each other. They'll meet each other. You
Yeah.
know, you know, face to face, who's there, what do
Yeah.
they do? When they have different needs, they might say, hey, who do you use for this? Or how do you deal with that? You know, we've got some very industry specific things that are very big winners that we use here
Yeah.
at our company that other people in this area could benefit from greatly.
Yeah.
So tell each other, you know, what your challenges are, get connections,
Yeah.
and just see how that grows. It's not anything we're doing to you or for you. It's just an
Yes.
opportunity for
To come.
businesses to meet, to connect the downtown with the industrial area.
Yeah.
Sure.
No
So-
agenda. This
No,
is an
just-
agenda free,
Yeah, we were
get
talking
together and
about-
have a conversation.
Yeah, start
Slide
like
an
an
agenda in
appreciation
there.
event, but it's just
Yeah.
come and connect.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could also showcase like some examples, like if you wanted to, I'm just putting, I like where you're going, like, but like,
Yeah.
it could just be, maybe we take 3 to 5 businesses and talking about what you're doing and, you know, where you're at and challenges and pluses and minuses and some of the vision there. I like that. That's a great idea.
If we did want to tie it into something, I just looked up National Small Business Week is May 3rd through the 9th. I know that's a little further out than what's proposed here, but if we did want to have some type of thematic backing around this,
Yeah. Is that
and that's
too-
recognized by the Small Business Administration.
Is that too late for the?
No,
council, or-
I think that, I mean, I think we're on this, you know, I like the conversation. I mean, we're gelling, we're really thinking about how to make this to your point of really, we want to draw the information out of them and we want to share the information with them,
Yeah.
right? So, and maybe it's, you know, you do one in May and you do it twice next year. We do the same thing.
Yeah.
So they know like, hey, May and October, I'm just putting it out there, but people, you start getting the business community, you know, they talk, but even sharing that information more. And as we progress, it's just making more awareness. I mean, we could maybe do it at Ant Farm or something that week if they're open by then.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could see this commission needing, we need to find somebody to join our commission here that has a little more small business.
Yeah, someone in a small
'Cause
business.
I don't know if there's any independent groups out there. There might be independent groups that circulate the city that meet regularly to talk about their business needs. And I don't know that either, you know. And they would be
Yeah.
somebody that would need to be.
Last question from me. is this something that we have budget line item for?
Right now,
in
yeah.
ours? Okay, great.
And we could probably get some sponsors too. so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come to our small business appreciation and will you donate to?
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
If you want people to come. It can't
Yes,
be in
I
a-
agree.
You can't be in a, it's gotta be in a common, safe area, not a politicized area.
Yeah, I
Not
agree.
going to one certain person's place.
Yes.
It really can't be a part of anything that we've talked about. It's gonna be a neutral site.
Yep.
It doesn't carry with it baggage.
Yes, that's very well
Yeah,
said.
safe.
Yep, very well
From the
said.
business owner at the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Okay, so let's have this conversation in January in
Mhm.
preparation for a great first ever May small business or
Just call it
business
Connection.
appreciation connection. Yep.
There we go.
Okay, sound good to everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, commissioner comments. I will not be making a comment. Commissioner Cross, let's start with you. Do you have anything?
I do not, no.
Okay. No? Commissioner
Oh, I just want to say thank you for orating a lot of real things. And
Sure.
I think sometimes what we're working on, we don't always have the bandwidth or the understanding or the talent sometimes behind what it takes to get there. And so we have to
Yes.
figure out what that looks like and what we will need.
Thank you.
Two quick things. One is a check-in on our hotel feasibility study. When, can you remind me when that was slated?
We're gonna be doing the first update to the city council in December.
Thank you.
And then so we can share that out with the EDC here, but
Sure.
looking good, so.
Perfect.
It is looking good.
Thank you. And then my second, more of a comment, the Souter Open House for their facility is December 4th from 1 to 4.
yep.
And so I just wanted to notice that publicly for those who might be interested in attending. It's a Thursday. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you very much.
One quick comment, and this is for you, John. That I appreciate your work an awful lot as I went around with the students from Oregon State and saw some of the things I hadn't seen before and hadn't quite realized your interconnectability to some of those businesses and how they had gotten to our location, you know, and I wanted to compliment
Thank
you
you.
on your efforts and your time. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank the businesses, you know, especially Eric for allowing us to come out there and tour with them and the other ones. And it's exciting. We're going to be bringing Business Oregon out here on next Monday to show them the industrial campus so they understand, you know, we brought them out here and we did the in August, we did the industrial, you know, National Night Out outreach and had a bunch of folks here. So just continue to build that awareness. And I just, you know, appreciate everyone's help and participating because it does take a village here to do it all. That's for sure. So thank you for hosting us or allowing us to go through there.
Okay, that concludes our November Estacada Economic Development Commission meeting.